One of the hottest selling mid 30 footers on the used market right now is the Catalina 34 Mark II. Cutout transom, aft cabin, wider hull, with some great sailing chops. It's pretty easy to see why. So let's have a look at this mid to late 90s 34 footer. The mid-90s were a transitional time for sailboats. We started seeing walk-through transoms and sugar scoops on basically everything, aft cabins and wider hulls. Boats became easier to live with and live on, and Catalina was changing with those times. No boat is so obvious about these changes as their 34, which is a very hot buy on today's used boat market. At the Practical Sailor website, we just did a written review of this boat, so if you're in the market for this boat or it's on your short list, you should definitely have a read. I'll link that in the description for you. American sailboat manufacturers have had their highs and lows, and many have dropped right off the map, but Catalina has been going strong for decades and looks to be gearing up for at least 40 more years of going strong. Exactly 1,800 Catalina 34s were built between 1991 and 99, and the boat has gone through several iterations. The hull we focus on here is the relatively narrower one that they built between 86 and 95, generally referred to as the Mark I or the Mark 1.5. The Catalina 34 sold between 94 and 2001, the production run officially ended in 99, is known as the Mark II and has a larger cockpit. All of the 34s are easiest to recognize from the stern. The Mark I has a traditional closed transom. The Mark 1.5 has a cutout for accessing the swim ladder, and the Mark II has an open transom. There's nothing fancy about the design of the Catalina 34, except for the old Catalina 38, which was not a Frank Butler design. All Catalinas of this era have a similar, conservatively modern look. Fin keel with spade rudder, short overhangs, and a flattish shear line. The distinctive cabin house and diamond shape on the sail emblem help identify it as a Catalina. The hull of the 34 was modern for its time, with full sections amidships to provide lots of room below. Today's boats carry the beam well aft. It seems more refined than the original Mark I and the Catalina 27 and 36 and 30, which is probably why we prefer the 34. Like Catalinas of this era, the 34 combines a long waterline, moderate to light displacement, and a large sail area to ensure good sailing performance. Improvements such as the new elliptical rudder have raised performance a notch on the newer boat. The second most highly praised feature of this boat is performance, with several owners commenting on the boat's favorable PHRF rating in their local fleets. We sailed the 34 on Lake Michigan and found the boat to be a delight to sail. It was a puffy day when we went out, so the boat was occasionally over-canvassed and developed a strong weather helm, something the newer, longer elliptical rudder helps to solve. A flatter mainsail helps as well. Even with a well-cut mainsail, we suspect that cruisers will want to take an early reef as the wind builds. The 34 sailed well on all points, but it could have used an asymmetrical downwind. With a PHRF rating of around 144, she's about in the middle of the speed range for contemporary boats her size, considerably slower than a J35, but significantly faster than a Krelock 34 or something like that. We'd call her sailing ability respectable, good enough to make smart cruising passages and quick enough to sail to her handicap rating on the race course. When Practical Sailor first took a look at the Catalina 34 way back in 1990, we were impressed back then by the equipment she had. Self-tailing primary winches were standard and adequately sized. Sail handling hardware was all good. Brand names abound everywhere, from the stove, pressure water pump, and the head. With rare exception, the traveler system and leaky ports in pre-1988 hulls. The deck hardware has always held up very well on this boat. The list of standard equipment was complete enough that you could conceivably sail the boat away from the factory with no options at all, a far cry from the old-fashioned method of selling a base boat with no lifelines, bilge pumps, or cushions. The 1990 boat we looked at carried a base price of $60,000, which would be approximately $150,000 in 2025 dollars, which included a mainsail, 110% jib, a mainsail cover, 2-burner stove with oven, hot and cold pressure water system, 2 batteries, 110-volt shore power system, boarding ladder, and lots of other equipment. Seems like a bargain when you consider a new Catalina 355 is priced between $300,000 and $350,000. Although prized in areas where local fleets are active, the Catalina 34 Mark I cannot be expected to hold its value as time passes. At last check, there were about a dozen boats for sale in the US as Mark Is, and the prices on those have continued to fall. The rate of depreciation can vary by region. Asking price for a fully equipped 1990 34 today between $37,500 and $40,000. The interior design is in the European mode, the first of the Catalinas to have the head aft by the companionway. Unlike European boats of the era such as Beneteau or Jeanneau of the same size, however, the Catalina is very full forward with a big V-berth cabin and a big dinette and settee ahead of the L-shaped galley and nav station. The starboard side aft cabin enters through the galley will likely be used as a guest cabin or storage space, especially in warmer climates where its limited ventilation makes it more desirable to go sleep in the V-berth. It has a sizable athwartship berth, and there's seating area between the berth and the galley. Cooks are never happy with a door that opens into their galley, but this is a necessary compromise for having an aft head, a valuable asset on a seagoing boat where it can double as a wet locker for your foul weather gear. The other galley complaint we've heard is the limited storage for LPG gas in earlier models, although members of the Very Active Owners Association offered various ways to solve that problem. According to our owner survey, the interior is the most praised aspect of the 34, with comments like, "It's the most room for the money," appearing in a majority of reports. The Catalina 34 we sailed had the standard 5-foot 7-inch draft fin keel, but the boat's also available with a wing keel option drawing 3-foot 10. A tall rig, which adds 26 square feet in the mainsail, a 5% increase, is also an option. The several respondents to our owner survey gave decidedly mixed reviews to that little wing keel, others praising its seaworthiness and its good ride. Unless we were desperate for a shallower draft, we'd be inclined to go with the standard fin, the near 6 foot, rather than the wing. The nice thing about the fin is that you can upgrade to the longer elliptical rudder, a widely praised upgrade that greatly reduces the boat's tendency to round up in puffs. The new elliptical rudder for the wing keel version is not as deep, so the performance gains are not as noticeable. Standard power on this boat was a 3-cylinder Universal 25 diesel, which we found adequate. However, owners again report mixed feelings about that engine. Vibration with the 2-blade prop is a common complaint. A few thought the boat was underpowered as well. The 3-blade 15x10 prop, or the Catalina specified 15x9 prop, solves both of those problems. If you're looking at a pre-1988 boat, you'll want to make sure it has the newer alternator mount as well, which came with the upgraded Universal 25 XP. Without that upgrade, you run the risk of a cylinder head cracking because of the vibration. Racers or performance cruisers who don't want the drag of a 3-blade prop can opt for a feathering prop like an auto prop, a folding max prop, or the cheapest option, a well-balanced Martech 2-blade. The Catalina 34 is a successful all-around design from a hugely successful company. Because Catalina sells so many boats and runs an efficient manufacturing facility, its boats typically sell for less than other brands of comparable size. The relatively large number of used Catalinas on the market mean the buyer can be pretty selective when they're shopping. In general, satisfaction with the 34 rates very, very high. We suspect this is due in large part to the great support system that owners get through the Catalina 34 International Association, Catalina themselves, and Catalina Direct, an independent provider of upgrades and parts for older boats. This wide forum means that prospective Catalina owners buy with their eyes wide open, and very few surprises ever come up that a previous owner has yet encountered. So as long as they do their research, they're a pretty good buy. While you're here, please don't forget to hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up for us. It helps us know what people like. And if you're interested in buying a Catalina 34, go read the full article at Practical Sailor, linked below. What's your favorite 30-footer that we could cover here? Leave a comment below. See you guys next time.